Hey everybody, it's Mitch, and welcome to my next video. Today we are going to be doing another Dungeons and Dragons related video, and what we're going to be talking about today is D&D 3.5 versus D&D 5e versus Pathfinder 1st Edition. So let's get talking about that. Now the first thing I want to talk about is my own personal history with each of these three games. So basically, I've been playing 3.5 for a long time. I've been playing this for years and years and years. It's where the vast majority of my experience is. So that's kind of where I'm going to be coming from for the most part. Now, I've also played both these other systems. I played 5e for about a year, two different campaigns, for each one for about a semester long because I was playing it at school. So yeah, and I played Pathfinder for a summer. So during summer break, I played basically every week for, a couple months. So I've got a little bit of experience with Pathfinder, not as much as the others though. But yeah, now that that's out of the way, now that you know like where I'm coming from with this, let's talk a little bit about the history of the games. So of course we're going to start with 3.5 since that's the oldest of them. Now 3.5, it's the one that kind of started it all in terms of modern tabletop role playing. There were, of course, 3.5 had versions before it, like 3.0, which is kind of the same thing, and the original D&D and 2e, or as it was actually called, AD&D or Advanced D&D. So those are the predecessors, but they are very, very different. 3.5 is the one that really started the systems that came up with 3.5ers. What's really gone forward for the most part. Yeah. So, anyways, 3.5. It came out. A lot of people liked it, and then Wizards of the Coast, the company that makes, that they decided to make 4e, and not too many people liked it. It was a big disappointment to a lot of fans. So a lot of people, a lot of fans, as well as some people who work for Wizards of the Coast, decided to, start making a new game called Pathfinder, which they, use the fact that a lot of the stuff in D&D is not actually copyrighted or copyrightable. So they were able to use a lot of that and basically recreate 3.5 for the most part, but with some tweaks and whatnot. And that's basically what Pathfinder is fans of the game, as well as some of the people involved on the team making a game of their own. Now, and it did well. A lot of people really liked Pathfinder. Then, years go by, and eventually, Wizards of the Coast, they learned their lesson from that one. They saw how much 4e flopped, and they saw how well Pathfinder did, and they're like, okay, we don't want to make another 4e. We need to go back to our roots. We need to make something that is going to appease the fans. So they made 5e, which they changed some stuff. They simplified it. They made it way more user friendly. But they did kind of go back to the roots with 3.5. 4e is a very, very different game, and yeah, then what they decided, and they even incorporated a few things from Pathfinder into 5e. So yeah, and 5e is the current game that everyone's playing right now. Yeah, let's talk about the individual differences. So 3.5 and 5e, of course, both made by Wizards of the Coast. They're both rich in your nice Dungeons and Dragons lore. Have very much the same lore. They didn't change too much of that from system to system, because I mean, you don't really need to. It's the same world more or less. Although they did change some basic stuff, like the default system in 3.5 is the Greyhawk system, whereas they changed it to something else in 5e. I forget what it is, but they have like completely different deities as the default in 5e, which confused the crap out of me when I first started playing 5e. I'm used to the Greyhawk gods. Anyways, so there's that. Another thing, and the thing about Pathfinder, it doesn't really have that rich lore that Dungeons and Dragons has. It's pretty much a basic, stripped down version of the game. You know, and for that reason, to me, it feels fan made and kind of homebrewy, but it's really just has to do with just the lack of lore in it. It's just it's just a really flat game. Um, yeah, at least that's how I feel about it. That's one of the major downsides that I see to it. Now, Pathfinder and 3.5 both have a large amount of customization to it. 3.5 more than any of them, with a just crazy number of books. Now, that has its own problems. You can break the game much more easily in 3.5 or Pathfinder, more so 3.5, than you can 5e. 5e is really designed to be hard to break the game. However, it's also hard to customize your character. Like 5e, basically it's like, okay, which of these classes do you want? Which of these 3 options for that class do you want? Okay, that's your character. And that's basically it. There's very, very little, especially of significance, that you can do to kind of change your character. And that was something I found really frustrating, was just the lack of options that there are. It's pretty much just it's really flat. It's really designed for someone who's never played to be able to jump in and be able to have some degree of customization and options without putting in a whole lot of effort. Because the options that they basically give the flat option from 3.5 plus 2 interesting and somewhat common choices for prestige classes, or is basically the other 2 types. So yeah, so basically, if you didn't know, 5e, how it works is you pick your class, and then like once you reach, and at first, second, or third level, it varies from class to class. You have to pick a branch, and there's like 3 different choices you can pick, and you just have to pick one, and that's your choice forever. And that'll change how the class evolves for you. A good number of the class features that you get. And honestly, those are really similar to prestige classes in 3.5, where basically once you've taken a class, you can take a prestige class that unlocks more options for you. It's usually like kind of an offshoot of a main class, one that you kind of have to unlock. So there's that. So yeah, prestige class is a big thing in 3.5. Pathfinder, I don't think it even has, as far as I know, it doesn't have prestige classes, but it does have, like, although it might. Again, I've only played a summer, so I don't know it as well as the others. But it does have a good number of class options, and there are quite a few numbers quite a few different customization options, including like flaws and traits. So yeah, basically just that. Plus a bunch of other stuff, like tons and tons of feats. Pathfinder's really big on that. 3.5 is too. You get feats every 3 levels. Pathfinder, sorry, not Pathfinder, 5e less so, because in 5e you're looking at, well, you just get a feat every 4 levels, and you have to choose between that and an ability point, and that just really kills the customization. It also makes it so you can't really level up as fast. Like, a level means so much less in 5e than it does in 3.5 or Pathfinder. 3.5 and Pathfinder are very similar. The main difference between those two is the lore, and that 3.5 is a bit more fleshed out. Actually, quite a bit more fleshed out than Pathfinder. Whereas 5e, it's well fleshed out, but it just doesn't have. It doesn't have a lot of the customization. It's designed in a way to be beginner friendly, and it's not really great if you want to be customizing and doing a lot of things. It's not designed for that. It's very limiting in what you can do, and it focuses a lot on the role play, which is kind of cool, but at the same time it limits your options of what you can do. So it's limiting in the role play in that regard too. So yeah, if you're new and you're looking to start playing D&D, 5e is probably the best way. It's the quickest, easiest way to get in. If you're just looking for heavy, just a heavy tactics game where you make up the lore and role play as you go along, Pathfinder's not a bad option. It's definitely has a lot of that going to it. But you know, if you want a lot of customization, you want lore, you want, you know, everything, then 3.5 is the way to go. Although with 3.5, there is a very steep learning curve. It's definitely the hardest to learn of the bunch. And you really have to be careful because like things can break really easy because there's a lot of things in the game that are not the most well balanced. So you're going to need a DM that can handle that, that knows what they're doing. So yeah, that's basically the difference. That's basically the three systems that I'm talking about here: 3.5, Pathfinder, and 5e. Anyways, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like. Maybe subscribe for more D&D 3.5 related content. Most of my content is on D&D 3.5. Ring that notification bell so you never miss out on a video. And anyways, as always, I'm Mitch, and I'll be seeing you